Hi everyone, it's James here from TSR, Jivey Talks Tech, and you may recognise these familiar surroundings, and you may recognise this man. This is James Curtis Thomas, and thank you for having me back for another...
You're always welcome.
Another mix, breakdown, session-y type thing. But this time, something a little different. We are stepping well and truly out of my musical comfort zone.
Yeah. It's not rock. It is rock.
It's not rock, but yeah.
A bit heavier.
Tell us more. Tell us what we're doing.
Okay, so today we're going to look at a mix I did for an artist called Native James, and was really fortunate on this one because we had Professor Green feature on the track along with another rapper called SS. The song's called Block. It was originally released by Native James before he got, released his first Rebirth EP with us, and that was just a grime track. So in between the first EP and the second EP, we wanted a track to bridge the gap, because he'd been away for a while. And Native was like, I'd like to do the rock remix of a song called Block. So it was like, yeah, let's do this. So we got the band in, a guy called Tom and his buddy rewrote the track. Sounds absolutely incredible. And then SS, who's an incredible rapper in his own right, was the original feature on Block. Anyway, so we're sitting here and we're talking about, SS coming in to redo his part. And Native got a message, I think from his manager at the time, saying that Professor Green might be interested in jumping on the track, which was absolutely fantastic. And like anything with a lot of artists, we're waiting and waiting and waiting. We didn't think it was going to happen. And then one day we got the track sent over. And then, the rest is history. It's an incredible video. Go and watch it. And he's actually gone and performed with Native quite a few times. I think they're at Download today as we're filming this, and I think Professor Green's actually going to be doing a feature on that. So that's going to be
very cool.
Absolutely amazing. So mix the track's already been out, but Headline Audio have been so kind and they've actually lent me some SSL equipment. And as everyone knows, I love SSL. I use it over everything. And they've got the 9000. It's the 9000, isn't it? The blue purpley one. Yeah.
So there's a 4000. So this is the new SSL single rack channel strips. So we've got the 4000, the Revival 4000, and the Super 9000. And it's the 9000 you're using.
And I thought it'd be really interesting to hear the difference between the obviously the hardware and the plugin that I originally used on the original mix. So I thought we could have a look at that.
Cool. So this is not a complete mix breakdown of the whole thing. If you want that, request it, and hey, we could do that as well.
100%.
But this is basically almost like plug-in in the box versus hardware out of the box.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the difference is in my, I've used it on quite a few things, and I can hear it. I think I think it's night and day personally, but
whether it translates across the greater compression of divide that is YouTube, who knows? And anytime you fancy doing high res audio YouTube, that'd be great. But let's dive into the mix, and we'll see what's going on with the hardware as well. But we're going to look that away.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's have a listen to the track, the particular part of the track as it went out.
This is as it went out.
Yours.
Welcome to Hack, a place where I think somebody's been. When I bought through these ends, in front of me on the truck through the I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats. Grew up in Hack, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle. Grew up on the high road, grew up in the street park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare? About welfare. Grew up on free school dinners on welfare, where life ain't fair, we don't fare well. It's clap, clap, clapton, not clapton, but there's bare shells. Ain't a seaside, but see these sides, many lives called bye-bye. Farewell. Well, you never came with a what? Came for a draw for you taking a box. Came for a bit for you taking a lot. What? You can't take what you want. Ain't what I'm on. What? You forgot that? Man, I came for the block.
So if you're familiar with this track, you'll realise that James has done the appropriate thing and muted out some of the naughty words. But looking closely, you will notice we are using the Brainworks version of the SSL 9000J. We know that there are almost as many SSL channel strips as there are 1176 plugins.
Yeah.
Nearly. But the thing that we both agree on, which is rare with me working with someone else, is that the Brainworks stuff, where they have, I can't remember what the technology is called, but where they basically take all the channel strips and kind of give them a slight level of variation. And
I think this was Michael Brow's console that they did it on.
yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think the Brainworks stuff is some of the better emulation.
I did a thing for my Instagram, like a little reel, and I did the E-Series Waves, the Plugin Alliance, and the E-Series Revival there. And out of them all, again, between the Brainworks and the actual hardware, I felt they were the closest. You know, like harmonic character as well, you know.
So what are you actually doing to this ear vocal?
So there's a few things that are going on.
Welcome to Hackney, a place where I think somebody's been. When I bought through these ends, follow me on the trot through the. I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats, grew up in Hackney, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle, grew up on the high road, grew up in the swing park, grew up on the stairwells.
So you can hear that it's clipping in places and what have you.
You can, just looking at it, you can see
exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, performance fantastic. The timeline we had to obviously get it out was, you know, coming up. So, you know, we had to work on it. And yeah, could I have asked him to do it? Maybe, but I didn't think we needed to bother about it because, you know, this is a hard rock track. It is aggressive. And to be honest, I probably would have distorted him anyway.
A bit of grit.
Yeah, it
kind of works.
And it does. I think it's brilliant. So I put him through the loop trotter. And I know it's more saturation, but that's really to kind of, sounds daft, round off that distortion.
Yeah.
And I think it was Chad Blake who, I watched the thing about him and he was showing how he got distorted vocals and he put it maybe through the Sans amp or something like that. And it didn't get rid of the distortion, but it just made it a bit more pleasant to the ear. So
there's something there about second versus third order harmonics and all that sort of stuff. Again, the thing you'll notice about both mine and James's take on mixing is that, and I believe the phrase is, to steal from one source is plagiarism, to steal from many is research.
100%. I've mixed with the masters on whilst I'm mixing. So I did this on, it rounds off the vocal just a little bit more. Again, you know, I think...
Bought through these ends, follow me on the trot through the. I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats, grew up in Hackney.
It is subtle, but it's more on those ones where you really hear that distortion coming through. And again, the vocal's a little bit muddy, but the other thing is the sibilances are kind of all over the place. So I go into the Pro Q after that. And that
grew up in jungle, grew up in not too many make it out of struggle, grew up on the high road, grew up in the swing park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare?
Again, that's also helping with a bit of that distortion if you listen.
About welfare. Grew up on free school dinners on welfare, where life ain't fair and we don't fare well. It's clap, clap, Clapton, not Clapton, but there's bear shells. Ain't a seaside.
It's a real sort of distortion.
It's spitting the whole, and it seems to happen on, obviously, in all the sibilants and all the S's and... So, you know, I'm just taming that. And then what I'm going to start to do is kind of bring that back in, but a bit more controlled. So we come down to our SSL plugin. And then, as you can see here, I'm obviously boosting. There's me pointing at the screen. 6 dB now at 5. So we've kind of got a de-esser going before, trying to just repair. So everything's kind of just bringing it down. It's a bit duller. So I've got a peak compressor on here, just tapping away. Again, I'm just trying to control, and also when people, you know, when you're dealing with rap vocals, it does need to be loud. It does need to be in your face, and because there's a lot of words that are happening, you want to try and hear absolutely every word. So you do want to squash it.
Welcome to Hackney, a place where I think somebody's been. When I bought through these ends, follow me on the trot through the. I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats, grew up in Hackney, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle, grew up on the high road, grew up in the swing park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare about welfare? Grew up on free school.
Now, if I do that in the track, because that'd be better.
Dinners on welfare, where life ain't fair, we don't fare well. It's clap, 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 to knock back to there's bare shells. Ain't a seaside, but see these sides, many lives call bye-bye.
So again, like, you know, in solo, without the EQ, you're like, oh, that's quite pleasant. But then once this production that's got so much going on, we've got backing tracks in there, we've got synthesizers, we've got 808s, we've got the drum kit, we've got multiple layers of guitars,
all in that mid-range clutter, potentially covering the vocal.
You have to now, you know, we have to poke through and we have to make obviously this vocal stand out.
Welcome to Hack, a place where I think somebody's been murdered. When I walk through these ends, in front of me on the truck through the I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats, grew up in Hackney, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle, grew up on the high road, grew up in the sweet park, grew up.
What I love is you've done there with the SSL channel strip exactly what I would do instinctively on a console.
Oh yeah.
You're right. And this comes from years of turning up and trying to make the vocal pop. Pop is such a terrible overused cliche. Trying to help the vocal cut through a band mix. You basically do that to the treble, you do that to the high mid, you do that to the low mid, and then you do that to the low end. So you're basically trying to give you some vocals on bottom end and not boost 100 hertz too much, because that's where the feedback always is.
Yeah.
And here you're even cutting it, which is great.
Well, because as we go down, and then obviously when we go into the hitting the 1176 here, you know, that's where we're pushing those frequencies in there. You're going to hear that's going to be tamed a bit more. You just hear it, don't you? That's what I love about this compressor.
Welcome to Hack, a place where I think somebody's been murdered. When I walk through these ends, in front of me on the truck through the I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats, grew up in Hackney, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle, grew up on the high road, grew up in the sweet park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare about welfare? Grew up on free school dinners on welfare, where life ain't fair, we don't fare well. It's clap, 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 to knock back to...
Now that's just controlling those.
And just to go along with the fact that we are platform agnostic, this is the UAD version.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Again, it's bizarre, isn't it? I prefer the UAD 1176s to anything else. That could be because, of course, UA is the original.
Yeah.
1176.
You'd hope that would be amazing.
But they do a thing that the others don't. They've got a warmth and
I think so.
Like a speed almost. You're not compressing.
Not at all. And this, you noticed I turned the attack to go quicker there. Cause
but you're not. You're only getting sort of 3, 5 dB of gain reduction.
I grew up in the sweet park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare about welfare? Grew up on free school dinners on welfare, where life ain't fair, we don't fare well. It's clap, clap, clap.
And then was I using this?
To knock back to there's bare shells. Ain't a seaside, but see these sides, many lives call bye-bye. Farewell. Well, you never came with a what? Came for a draw for you taking a box. Came for a bit for you taking a lot. What? You can't take what you want. Ain't what I'm on. What? You forgot now. Walk through these ends, in front of me on the truck through the I grew up in East.
Yeah, and you're using the Waves de-esser just to tame, again. So it's like, say for me personally, if I need a lot of compression, I won't just slam it with one compressor. I'll
Who was it I saw?
Multi-compress.
I think it was Dave Pensado, shout out to that legend, who said about using multiple de-essers to do multiple. So, you know, one might just be for 2 times in that song or 2 times in that verse or whatnot, and then you've got another one. And then everything's just slightly doing it, you know, rather than, you know, completely crushing that vocal. Yeah.
So multiple levels of dynamic control, be that compression, be it de-essers, whatever, is way more transparent. Unless you're going for that compressed or super de-essed sound, which nobody should be. It's way... when people say less is more, in this case, more is more.
I think so. But then, and then I added the slap delay. So there's obviously we've got a few different like throws going on, and you know, where they do little dubs.
Walk through these ends for the me on the truck through the. I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats, grew up in Hackney, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle, grew up on the high road, grew up in the sweet park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare? About welfare. Grew up on free school dinners on welfare, where life ain't fair, we don't fare well. It's clap, clap, clapton, not clapton, but there's bare shells. Ain't a seaside, but see these sides, many lives call bye-bye. Farewell. Well, you never came with a what? Came for a draw for you taking a box. Came for a bit for you taking a lot. What? You can't take what you want. Ain't what I'm on. What? You forgot now. Man, I came from the block.
Yeah. So again, everything's like tonal control. Obviously, it puts it into a really cool environment in your head when you're listening on your headphones. But yeah.
So that is the plug-in version.
That is.
Let's hear the hardware. I'm going to grab this camera and just so I can show you. Yeah, I'm just going to scan across because you can see.
Have I got the EQs? They should be pretty much bang on.
Yeah, I think so. You can see exactly how James has got it set up, and it's pretty much the same as the plug-in. I know there is a great deal of discussion around SSL. Now they've been taken over by Audiotonics. But I think they're bringing out some really great stuff. There are some exceptions to that rule. I don't think the baby interfaces are that great. They're fine.
They're a thing. It's an entry drug into the world of SSL, in my opinion.
That's a very, very good way of putting it. But this thing feels great. It feels like a desk.
I was mixing on a SSL the other day, and I can tell you it does feel like an SSL. And I don't know why it's taken them so long to do this, because they brought out their version of the 500. What was that called? Do you remember the grey silvery box they had?
Was it the X-Rack?
The X-Rack.
X-Rack, yeah.
And they brought out all these different things, and you think, well, why didn't you just bring out a channel strip?
Because they had the X-Rack, and they wanted you to buy into that ecosystem.
Of course.
But this stuff looks great. It feels great. I'd love to have a look inside to see what's going on. But to be honest, that doesn't really matter when it sounds like this. So you've set up an AB, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
As much as I want to show you what it's doing, I kind of don't want to for obvious reasons. But put the automation trace up, because that way we can see what's going on. And I actually quite... Yeah, there we go. You can now see that the bottom one is... The bottom trace, the bottom track, is the internal one.
That's the plug-in, yeah.
Yeah, and the top one is the hardware. So what I'll do is in the video, let you know as you see it on the screen, as we play through, which you're hearing.
So we're going from, on the hardware, we're coming out of the SSL into the 1176 that's there.
Yep.
That actually says snare on it at the moment.
Let's go and do that again, just so we can...
And of course the bulb's blown on that.
Of course it has.
And then so I've tried to set it up as close as possible.
Yeah. So out of the channel strip, into the 1176, and the rest of the chain is the same, isn't it? So it's still using the plug-in. We would, of course, love to be using all hardware, but we don't have two DSs in hardware format, unfortunately.
No, it's a shame.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Shall I hit play?
Hit it.
Welcome to Hackney, a place where I think somebody's been. When I bought through these ends, for the me on the truck through the. I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats, grew up in Hackney, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle, grew up on the high road, grew up in the sweet park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare? About welfare. Grew up on free school dinners on welfare, where life ain't fair, we don't fare well. It's clap, clap, clapton, not clapton, but there's bare shells. Ain't a seaside, but see these sides, many lives call bye-bye. Farewell. Well, you never came with a what? Came for a draw for you taking a box. Came for a bit for you taking a lot. What? You can't take what you want. Ain't what I'm on. What? You forgot now. Man, I came from the block.
It's close.
It's close there. I think that last 4 or 5%, though, if I was to be honest, is what makes me now want to use that and then print it back in. I think that peak limiter that's on there is fantastic what it's doing, you know. And I get, obviously, I've tried to level match this, and I mean, you saw we was getting the EQs as close as possible. Mm-hmm. I just feel like there's a more forwardness to the hardware.
Yeah, I couldn't actually tell you what it is. I think in studio vernacular, we'd call it vibe.
100%.
And we'd call it that thing, the reason people use tube amps over amp sims.
I think the tone, though, is the thing that I'm hearing, is that it is giving it a little bit more balls. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's punch, it's cajones.
But yeah. But I think, you know, obviously the Brainwork stuff's bloody amazing, and I've been using it for years, and I use it every day, you know. But that makes me, I've done it on a few mixes now whilst I've had these, where I've actually then reprinted it in and been like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Let's just play back, do the playback again, but this time I will not show you the screen. I'll just show you the video. And you can maybe watch James and I's heads bob as we go along.
Welcome to Hackney, a place where I think somebody's been. When I walk through these ends, follow me on the trot through the. I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats. Grew up in Hackney, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle. Grew up on the high road, grew up in the swing park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare? About welfare. Grew up on free school dinners on welfare, where life ain't fair, we don't fare well. It's clap, 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 and not clap, but there's bare shells. Ain't a seaside, but see these sides, many lives go bye-bye. Farewell. Well, you never came with a guap. Came for a draw for you taking a box. Came for a bit for you taking a lot. What? You can't take what you want. Ain't what I'm on. What? You forgot that? Man, I came from the block.
Right, this time, because somebody will complain, oh, we haven't heard them soloed. Can you play them through soloed so we don't, without the rest of the track?
Do you want me to leave this, the effects on?
Leave the effects on and leave the flip-flop on.
Okay.
Just so we hear the vocal.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to Hackney, a place where I think somebody's been. When I bought through these ends, follow me on the trot through the. I grew up in East, grew up on rap, grew up with not too many make it out of flats. Grew up in Hackney, grew up in jungle, grew up with not too many make it out of struggle. Grew up on the high road, grew up in the swing park, grew up on the stairwells. What's the benefit of being on benefits? What's welfare?
There's a thickness to the hardware.
Yeah, I keep looking over, and you know, if anything, I think I'm goosing the plug-in alliance a little bit more on the mid-range than I am on there. So, yeah,
it's going to sound different. I mean,
of course,
as you know, we've said hardware. The hardware is. Every channel is different on a console. Every single channel is different, which is why Plug-in Alliance did, and I can't remember the name of the technology they employed, but I will put it down there because I'm
it's
having
on their websites now.
Yeah, but that is a prime, brand new, relatively brand new, out of the box version of the 9000, and it sounds great, and it sounds like a 9000. It sounds like one of a 9000. If you put 96 of those next to each other, there's a fair chance there'd be a certain amount of variation.
Of course there's going to be variation.
But again, these days, component tolerances are so tight compared to back in the 80s when component tolerances weren't as tight as they are now. That's why there's the variation.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why when you go into any rehearsal studio especially, never use channel 1.
Oh,
for your lead vocal.
No.
Because I guarantee that's the one that's the most thrashed.
Yeah, that's going to be goosed the most, 100%. And then this one won't work, you know, the one at the end of the console.
Yeah,
that's normally where the broken ones go at the end. But
I like it. I really like it. I think it sounds great. I'd like to track through it. I'd like to track through several of
yeah,
them.
definitely. What I really want to do is I have tracked through SSLs using like their mic freeze lot, and you know, SSL is like, oh, you know, you've got to have Neves, you've got to have that. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it's nice to do that. But I think it's good to bust the myth that the mic pre's aren't as good. And I've made records just using the mic pre's, and they're cool. And these have this one has the VHD thing on it. Is it the VHD?
VHD?
This thing here.
Very high definition?
Is it VHD? Yeah, VHD, which I think is a drive, second and third harmonic drive.
Hold on a sec.
Which it would be really, I was kind of hoping that you could use that on the line, but you can't. So I love it. I think they're absolutely fantastic.
And they should send us more.
Please.
James, thank you so much, sir.
No, good. It's always great having you down here.
Always a pleasure to come and take over the...
And what a lovely... Oh, no, it was a lovely day to go to the pub.
It was. It's now absolutely hammering it down. Welcome to the British summer, boys and girls. Yeah, so we will put links to the SSL stuff down there in the notes. Thanks again to James and Angela, who's been sat off camera, and she's kind of there somewhere, beavering away.
Yep.
Making sure we can actually use this track in the video. But for now, please do like, subscribe, ring the bell, all the normal stuff. But for now, my name's James Ivey from TSR, Jivey Talks Tech, and we'll see you again very soon.